everyone, welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again today for another installment of the Auto Experience series. Today we're in my personal 2014 Ford Fiesta ST. Now there's a lot of videos out there reviewing this car, and I think a lot of that's related to the amount of hype this car generated when it came out. It was definitely a darling in the auto journalist community. You probably would be very hard pressed to find a review where they don't favor the Fiesta ST as being a good car. Now, did that have influence on me purchasing mine? Probably. But honestly, we want to shake this thing down because hype can be a scary thing in the automotive community. Does it actually pan out? Is the hype based on the things we actually test for in my reviews and see if it does live up to the hype surrounding its release? Now, I've had this car for about 2 years now, and it's served as my daily. This is a fantastic daily. I live in the Bay Area, and I drive a lot. Driving in the Bay Area is not as fun as you would think. You know, lots of traffic, lots of congestion. Having something that has great handling, great brakes, and the ability to kind of scoot through traffic is essential. I opted to get a fully loaded Fiesta ST, knowing I was going to spend a lot of time in this cabin. The one option that wasn't optional was the Recaro package. There's some mixed reviews on these seats. I think most of them are positive, and I definitely believe it's the best feature in the car. If you're gonna option anything on a Fiesta ST, get the Recaro package. I'm not a little guy by any means. I'm not short, and I'm not super skinny or anything like that. I'm not even semi-skinny, but I like these seats. They grip me pretty well. They're not too aggressively bolstered. They're not like my Sparcos and the Galant VR4. They're sporty, but they're not too overbearing. And you know what, honestly, I think the support's really good for longer trips. I don't have any complaints. I think they're quite comfortable. They come with seat warmers if that's a big thing for you. I use those like maybe twice a year. Other than that, I got everything else, the nav, sunroof, the red brake caliper package. Why not, right? When these things came out, I think they were a good value proposition at their price point. And now on the used market, I think they're an insanely good value to jump on. I want to say for a decently used, relatively good mileage, for the options you want in a Fiesta ST, I think you're looking at anywhere from 11 to 16 grand, depending on those factors and the year. And that's a lot of car. You're talking like a lot of car. And we haven't even gotten to the details and what this thing can do performance-wise, but just know that. And they're definitely a good place to shop on the used market if you're looking for something sporty, fun, and kind of economical. The other factor that really led this to be a great daily for me is that I get over 30 mpgs per tank. Now that isn't going to be if I go to the track or, you know, I beat on it in the mountain roads for like an entire day. No, that's not realistic. But my stop and go traffic, mostly highway stuff with some surface street mixed in, average is over 30, which is great. That's great fuel turnaround for a car that can, you know, be sporty and reliable at the same time. It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. You can drive this thing easy, shifting at 2,000 RPM all day and get that wonderful fuel economy, or you can ring it out in the mountain roads and honestly hang with the best of them. I'm gonna save some of the performance stuff for the objective and subjective tests, but I do wanna mention right off the bat, if you ever do drive one of these cars, the things that you immediately notice that the car cannot hide from you is that the handling is on par with some of the nicest cars I've ever driven. It's immediate, the weight is pretty good. I know it's not hydraulic, I get it, but it feels good and it is responsive, and you can really point this car anywhere you want to. It's that good. The suspension stock is fantastic. It's a little firmer. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. I'm not gonna inflate the car's handling characteristics. They certainly are on the sportier side, and you will feel every crack in the pavement. Like right there, I just hit a sunflower seed. That being said, it does add to the car's sporty nature. The braking on this car, I don't think I've ever felt stock brakes that feel this competent. They're pretty good against fade resistance, and they bite great. This car stops like you wouldn't believe. As for modifications on this model, not a lot to get into, guys. I've been tempted to go down the Cobb Stage 3 path. It's definitely something I would consider if I could take a time out for my other projects, but being my daily, I think it's suitable as it is. I do have the Cobb Stage 1 package, which is the access port and the off-the-shelf map. The Stage 1 just adds a little more horsepower, a little more torque, evens out the curve, and makes the car a little more drivable over stock, which is already good. I think around 200 wheel horsepower is fantastic for a car this light, especially as a daily. Honestly, I don't really need it anymore. Grip is the limiting factor. I have Yokohama S drives on the car currently. They're fine. It's a pretty good tire, pretty solid, but I honestly think the Fiesta ST's biggest shortcoming is grip. I think this car should have came with slightly wider wheels and should have came with at least a 215 to 225 tire. The torque comes on down low very hard, especially with the little turbo that's on here, and it just, traction is an issue. Even in dry, I could spin these tires all day. If it's wet conditions, good luck. You will never win a stoplight drag race with this car in the wet. It'll just spin the tires. So that's my one gripe. I think the grip is not there. I mean, the grip in the corners is fantastic because of the suspension setup and handling characteristics, but grip, like launching the car and at the limit, this car would have benefited from a wider wheel and tire package. Sure, you can fix that in the aftermarket, but I had to say something bad about the car. So we're gonna take this Fiesta ST through our tests. We're gonna weigh the car, do our performance acceleration stuff, braking, see how it stacks up against some of the other cars we've driven. And then we're gonna also take it up on some fun roads and get a good subjective feel, how the car communicates with the driver, how it handles, all those kind of characteristics, how they boil down into the performance aspects of the vehicle. We'll come to the conclusion of whether or not the hype was all real surrounding the Fiesta ST. Is this really the car you want to get if you're an enthusiast and you're looking for something fast, fun, hot hatch, you know, good fuel economy, reliable? We'll arrive there later. So let's get on to these objective tests and really shake down this Fiesta ST. Let's get the Fiesta ST up on the scales and find out what the curb weight is and what the front and rear balance is on the vehicle. The Fiesta ST weighed in at 2,677 pounds. This is a relatively lightweight vehicle compared to what modern vehicles weigh. There's about a half a tank of fuel in it, and the only weight reduction was removing the spare tire and jack. The Fiesta ST can escape the front weight bias of a front-wheel drive, front-engine mounted vehicle, though it does come close with 61.5 in the front and 38.5% of its weight in the rear of hitting that ideal 60-40 split. Behind the wheel of the Fiesta ST, all the vaunted performance accolades appear to be fully grounded in truth. Power is always on tap, with an immediacy that makes you doubt the engine's small displacement. The Fiesta ST never feels slow, thanks to its relatively small turbo and excellent mid-range torque delivery. Handling prowess is perfectly paired with power in this case, creating a potent cornering machine. How can this even be considered wrong-wheel drive when everything feels so right? Steering is true point and squirt, with the added fun of wrangling it under control as its undersized tires scramble for grip when exiting corners. The Fiesta ST is a riot to drive hard in the canyons. Confidence is maintained through some of the best executed stock brakes I've ever experienced. Travel in the pedal is minimal and bite is strong. Overall brake balance is very great. Power is delivered from the 1.6-liter dual overhead cam turbocharged power plant. Boost lag is very minimal from the small turbo, and the engine makes great power with the overboost function, screaming to the 7,000 RPM redline. A well-executed 6-speed, fairly close ratio gearbox allows the driver to get the most out of the power band. Shifts are crisp, and throws are fairly short. Exterior styling of the Fiesta ST is, in my opinion, one of its strongest suits. The hot hatchback formula is strictly adhered to here, as the ST wears a very aggressive body cladding outfit compared to the base Fiesta. Gripes about the interior don't ring true with me. The ST is still based on a $12,000 Econobox, so of course the interior will remain plastic heavy. Despite this, I feel that the ST's interior mirrors the exterior styling, with sharp angles and a very aggressive vibe inside. The touch points are excellent. Wheel, shifter, pedal placement, and Recaro seats all remind you that you're in something special. And who doesn't like selectable ambient lighting? Speaking of reminding, ST badges are scattered about. Not with M badge frequency, but still plentiful. Fiesta ST threw down hard on our objective tests, posting solid performance numbers as well as showing off its trimmed down mass. Though these tests yielded high marks, I believe they don't even tell half the story as to why the Fiesta ST is an amazing car. In the driver's seat, you will find yourself able to control the Fiesta ST at near the limit with an almost intuitive nature. A powerful engine, highly competent gearbox, well-sorted suspension, and confidence-inspiring brakes make the ST a well-rounded performance vehicle. As a highway grinding commuter car, the ST can return over 30 mpgs with modern amenities at the ready. In the canyons, the Fiesta ST is a damn near perfect weapon, able to truly slay giants. The hype is all truthful with the Fiesta ST. It's a legitimate performance car out of the box, and the aftermarket can spice it up even more. 2 years in, and it still puts a smile on my face every time I drive it.